Because I don't have the ability to do anything beyond this. Testing audio. No, I can't hear me much at all. I can hear the room a lot, so it's happening.
Maybe it's up in the front. Maybe this is the front. Is this the front?
I'm pretty sure I remember how my mic works, but I actually could be wrong.
Okay. I don't know.
There's about 5 seconds of delay. I just heard myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Josh. Okay. All right, everyone. I think we're going to get started here. This is the IUF's public meeting, so welcome. Thank you for coming. You are all IUF members, if you did not understand that. What? What? Crazy, I know. I know, so wild. All right, perfect. Couple more people rolling in. All right. We do have a live stream going, so anyone can see this meeting going on. So if you do want to, if we get to questions, I'll ask you to come up to this mic so that they can hear you, okay? So, awesome. All right, I'm just gonna start. We have, let's see, first slide. We've got too many computers going on here. All right, first, what is the IUF? It is to foster awareness and participation in unicycling as a sport and a means of recreation among people of all nations through the organization of international conventions and the development of national unicycle organizations. So the IUF, one of its primary events is Unicon, of course. It's the biggest international event we hold. That's all I'm going to say right now, actually. Next slide, please. Is it this one? Okay, I can help manage that. So 1982, IUF creation. The first Unicon is held in 84, Syracuse, New York, if you were here at the opening ceremony. Yeah, I mentioned it. Maybe you remember that. We also have IUF skill levels, IUF world records, and the IUF rule book. And then, of course, Unicon 2024, Bemidji, Minnesota, USA. Thanks for being here, guys. Yeah. All right, I'm going to introduce our board of directors. We have 4 board members here present. My name is Kirsten Goldstein. I'm the vice president. We have Joshua, I don't know how to say your last name, Ehrlich. He is our treasurer. Mark Fabian is a board member. And Emma Kvist is also a board member. Absent board members would include Maxime. I cannot say his last name. He is our president. Jana Tannenberger is our secretary. And Francois Wormsner. Yep, he's also a board member. So you've seen us 4 maybe around. You might know the other 3. They could not be here at this Unicon. Quickly to review Unicon 20 2 years ago. This is our first. Oh, thank you. This is our first IUF meeting since that Unicon, of course. Registrant poll. So afterwards, you would have gotten a survey or a poll from a Google form. That was feedback on how Unicon 20 went. It was overall a good success. The mountain surrounding was wonderful. We had great competitions. There was a lot of public attendance at the Unicon 20 events in France. And the final balance for Unicon 20 was 1,792 euros. All right. Next slide. I think this is this still me? Yep. Is this still me? Okay. So this is not official. We have yet to receive a bid from the potential next host for Steyr, Austria. David, if you want to say anything, don't just come up and say anything if you want to. Okay, we'll do that at the end then. All right. So we're going to hear more on that later. Okay, Josh, Mo.
Hello, so I'm Joshua. I'm the treasurer for the IUF. So I just want to talk a little bit about our budget, how things are going. Currently, you all are IUF members to be here. I assume you're, if you're not actually participating here, you're not nice. But if you participated, you're required to be an IUF member. Your dues are 15 euros. We go through PayPal, there's some fees. But we approximately, it's best to actually look at this over the 2-year time frame. I put 3 years up rather than 4. We got $7,000 in dues in 2022. That's the only source of our revenue, except for one small 172 euros. 10,000 euros last year and 4,000 this year so far. I don't expect to get any more dues after the start of Unicon until next Unicon, because it's, your dues are for every 2 years. So people generally pay when they can start to sign up, starting around the summer of the year before. So what do we spend your money on? Why are we taking in all this money? What can we do with it? So the biggest thing that we do is we provide payment for the running the software for Unicon registration, the competitions, and this we have some web hosting and some other costs. But this is used not just by the IUF at Unicon, it's also used by the French tournaments, by the USA for their purposes, and others. And so we're happy to cover this cost. And we also will help, although we don't directly fund Unicon, for both Unicon 20 and 21, we've been working to help support to make sure that, given various issues that have arisen, we're able to cover expenses and offer sort of loss sharing. So during Unicon 20, obviously there was some large uncertainty that occurred for some reason in 2020. This resulted, we basically made a sort of a loan loss sharing with Unicon 20, an agreement that if they had a profit at the end of the year, they would, or at the end of the event, they would share some of that back with us. So we got 10% of their profit, so 172 euros as well. But that's sort of the general trend. So we're slowly accumulating reserves, which we can use for purposes and events, supporting other things. But let us know partly what you think the IUF should be doing. We look forward to hearing from you.
Rulebook. She's on rulebook. Okay, I'll do rule book. Can you guys tell we really planned ahead? All right, so rule book, we apologize that there has not been a rule book created post Unicon 20. Connie?
I'm the one who has to apologize. I overextended myself and was not able to do the rule book the way it should have been done. So it happened, and I'm sorry. It should have been.
So, understand that Connie was also co-directing Unicon 21, directing NAUCC 2023, and helped direct Unicon 20, and was working on some of the things post that, and the rule book, and NAUCC, and Unicon. That's the overextension that she's talking about. So, we still love Connie. So, we will have a rule book committee going after this one. Thank you, Phil. All right, Mark, you are up.
So one of the topics that we have been told about a lot during our meetings the last few years, or at least since I'm an IUF member, which is dating back to last March, is how can we welcome the transgender and non-binary riders best to our competitions. Of course, as unicycling, we try to be as inclusive as a community as possible. And of course, we would like to do the same with our rules as well. But of course, we are trying to maintain fairness and towards our existing competitors. And of course, we understand that we might need to do a compromise here and there, but we are discussing different ideas on how to keep everything fair. So what we have right now is not too much. You can see it right here. This is currently in our rule book, which is a very soft rule that we have. So basically, according to this, anyone could register in any gender that they may feel like registering in. And obviously, we would like to update these rules to better match the conditions within our sport. So on the next slide, okay, so we received one complaint during Unicon registration that during registration you were obliged to choose whether you are male or female, and so we updated our registration system, so now you can actually choose your pronouns, and you may choose they or you may choose other, though at this moment you're still required to pick a competitive gender category, female or male, and once again, it is not regulated in the rule book which one you're allowed to choose. So for that, there are a couple of practices to follow from the sports world. Thank you. Okay, so this is one practice that UCI is doing that may not be the best one. So what they have done entirely is that from their professional events, they completely excluded transgender riders. So they simply do not allow any transgender riders, whether they are trans male or trans female athletes, they just don't allow them at their professional competitions. Obviously, this is not something we would like to do. I just brought it up, as you can see an example. Their reasoning for this is that they say they want to maintain fairness in their disciplines, and they simply haven't found a reason to fairly qualify if someone meets the requirements to be competing as a female or as a female or as a male athlete with the assigned at birth male and female athletes. So what they say is that at this moment they don't see the tests and the scientific research on a level that they can maintain fairness, and they can decide, they are able to make a decision if someone is allowed to enter a category. Obviously, the biggest question here is whether trans female athletes are allowed to enter the female category, or we want to reserve that to assigned at birth female athletes. And yeah, so this is UCI's answer, though they actually said in their statement that they will keep an eye on scientific research, and of course, if new research comes in and they will find better ways to find this out, then they might update these rules. But this is what they have at the moment. They do allow trans riders to enter male category at their amateur events. So, for example, if you're familiar with UCI events on C1 levels, they allow, I think on C1 level, they allow to enter transgender riders, but only the male category. So whether you identify as a trans male or trans female athlete, you're only allowed to enter the male category. All right, and let's look at another example that we have. Oh, that's, okay, sorry. We can go a slide back. That's the next step. Okay, there's another example we have, and that's from FINA. That's from the International Swimming Association. What they have done, I believe, is a better step towards inclusivity, and that is they simply reserve the female category for assigned at birth female athletes, but they renamed the male category to open, and it is welcome to anybody. So it is welcome to assigned at birth males, transgender males, non-binary, and also they expect trans female athletes to sign up to that category. And I had a really nice conversation with some of you guys earlier this Unicon, and a really nice thought came up about that, which is very true. Like, do we think that someone who someone who is a trans female athlete would feel comfortable entering an open category, which is like technically a male category, renamed open? And the answer is probably no. So that's probably not the best thing to do, or at least that's not the most inclusive way to do it. But the reason why we are talking about this is because we are all ears, and we are very happy to listen to everyone's decision. And so, like, we haven't decided anything about this question except that something must be done, because right now the rule book, how it is, we're gonna do something about that. And since our sport has been always famous for having such a nice and inclusive community, I believe that our rules should reflect on that as well. But of course, we gotta maintain fairness to a level of degree. Of course, sports in general is not always fair. We don't have a separate category for riders with longer legs or with more muscle weight or whatever. Sports is not always fair, but we're gonna maintain fairness to some degree. So we are looking for the best solutions for that, and we are all ears. And I would like to take this moment to invite everyone who is interested or have a word in this topic to please join the rulebook committee when it's going to happen. And it would be fantastic to have a big conversation about this and to make our rulebook reflect on how inclusive and nice our community is.
Okay, so I was involved in that rulebook discussion.
Yes. I remember, and you had a very good thought about that back then.
Ultimately, we still need a lot more diversity of opinion, and in fact, we've got a really liberal sort of rule.
Actually, sorry, Ken, do you want to come here and say it in the microphone so we save it to the future?
Just going to say, I was involved. Hello?
It's just for the live stream.
Yeah. I was involved as one of the rulebook committee members, and yeah, we had a number of opinions, but it could be more diverse. We've got a really liberal rule that basically says anyone can choose whatever category they wish to identify as. But yeah, there's still obviously problems with that. So I think something we should revisit with each rule book, and it will change over time. But yeah, we do need lots of people discussing.
Yeah, we need opinions, and we need opinions from, of course, as many people as possible and as diverse opinion as possible. Yeah. Since I've been dealing with this topic in IUF, I interviewed a number of riders, including assigned at birth female athletes, unicyclists, and other female athletes from other sports as well. And I also talked to both trans female and trans male athletes. Some of them were unicyclists, some of them were doing other sports, just to have a better understanding on their point of view, and I've heard some very interesting solutions about that. And like now we talked about inclusivity and everything, but I would also like to mention from the other side. So it did happen at events that if there is a female category, there were multiple trans female athletes entering a certain category, and then the first assigned at birth female athlete in that category would not even finish on the podium, because the podium were only trans female athletes. And I'm not saying that's bad, I'm not saying that's good, it's something we need to discuss, and it's something that our rule book needs to be ready for. Benoit.
Has having 3 categories been discussed?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. We did discuss opening an open category to have female, which would be, in that case, assigned at birth female, then would be assigned at birth male, and there would be an open category for everyone. We did discuss that option, and there are 2 complaints about that. First of all, it would very easily could become a second male category for riders who just want to win medals. They could just simply enter open category. So that's one problem. And the other problem is that, like, it's nice that we make an open category and we kind of expect all the trans and non-binary people to merge in that category. But once again, like, do they feel right about that? Like, would they like that? And the answer is not necessarily yes. So that's the other thing. And that's what I heard from the trans athletes that I interviewed, that they wouldn't really feel comfortable with having a third open category kind of for them. But of course, this is also a possibility, although there is another problem with that, and that's Unicon wisely, we can't really afford having a third category. Timing wisely and also resource wisely, it would put a very, very heavy stress on the event organizers' shoulders, and also financially too. All right, okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sarah, want to come out here?
I just wanted to make a proposal for a way to move forward, which is, given that this is a difficult and controversial and heated topic, I'm not sure that discussing it online in the rulebook committee will be the most productive. And one proposal that I have is to maybe start a committee that can come up with a set of goals, interview the community, see what people want, get different opinions, and then propose a list of alternative options that could then go to the rulebook committee or the community at large for people to vote on and give their opinions. But I worry that, having been on the rulebook committee before and like seeing emails just go back and forth all the time, I wonder that it won't actually be a productive discussion given the format.
That's a fair point. Connie?
Just real quick, Sarah, via the software, we can create a subcommittee that is your small group of people. That way comments are captured, but it would only be a small group, and then it can be brought to a bigger group. So it can be done. The last time it was done with too wide of an audience.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, and then also like just an online format, I think is, obviously it's helpful given that people are in different time zones, but I think probably having like face-to-face conversations will be important for this as well. Oh.
But I think there's 2 parts to committee, right? One is online versus offline, and one is real time versus where you do the Zoom type discussion versus the comments and emails back and forth, which is easier than miscommunication when it's in writing. I don't know, Sarah, if that addresses Zoom is acceptable.
Yeah, and just like starting with a small group that takes the time to do the
Right. Yeah. So any more, David?
I just want to reinforce what Sarah was saying. I think it's a great idea. The only thing I want to add to that is this is not like a hypothetical thing right now, and I know of at least one unicyclist, and I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, just on the board of directors understands, I think, how important this is. To me, at least, Unicon is, as much as a competition of only members, we have competitors, but Unicon is the people, and the people are Unicon. And right now, there are some people that want to be Unicon that don't come from being here. So I just want to say that this is a very real issue, and I think just for the general, so the board of directors understands more broadly how strongly I would say the community feels about this. Like, I'm here just to speak about this issue, and I know there's a bunch of people right in front of me who are also here speaking on this issue. So I just wanted to reinforce what Sarah said. I think your proposal is fantastic.
Phil?
Maybe this is not the appropriate time for this question, but I'm not sure if everyone who is here at the IUF meeting who has participated in the rule book can you explain to us how the rule book and rule book committees work for rewriting the rules for the future? If we're at that point?
Yeah, I think.
Best way for us to continue having this conversation, and for the people who want to participate, and then be part of that conversation.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
I want to default to Connie here. How does the rule book committee work?
And how
Connie, can you come to the microphone for the live stream? Thank you.
If you want, I can give a briefing, and then you can just correct whatever I said.
Okay.
All right. All right. So, basically, how it goes. So the rulebook committee, if anyone is not familiar with it, which is totally fine if you're not, the rulebook committee is basically it's a gathering, and it's kind of like a forum where anyone can apply to register, who is a unicyclist or maybe not even a unicyclist, just involved in unicycling in one way or another. Must be an IUF member. Good point. So everyone is eligible here. Yeah, right. So yeah, so you must be an IUF member, and then so it happens after every Unicon, and the point of it to make our rule book better. So basically, how it goes is we usually set it up around autumn, right? After every Unicon. All right, 2 weeks after Unicon, and then there's a period when you can apply to be a member. There are 2 levels of memberships. There is a voting member and a non-voting member. Obviously, the voting member is the one who can actually vote on the discussions that reach a proposal stage. And then there are subcommittees for each riding division. So there is like track, there is urban, jumps, freestyle, basketball, hockey, etc. You may choose which subcommittees would you like to join, and there's also a main committee for topics such as that we were discussing just now with the gender. So if you're you can only start a discussion if you're a voting member. Am I right with that?
I think so.
Yeah, so if you're a voting member, you can start a discussion on either the main committee or in one of the subcommittees, and you can basically challenge any part of the rule book. Okay, so you can bring up, it can be either just a creative idea or like rising from a problem that you had at Unicon or at another event. You can challenge basically any parts of the rule book, and the idea is we have a selection of voting and non-voting members who are ideally have enough professionalism that they can judge whether these proposals are right or not. And then there is an ongoing discussion. Once again, it's like a forum format. So people can comment on each other's ideas in the discussions. And then sooner or later, ideally, each discussion, or not every discussion, but some of the discussions will reach a proposal stage when an accurate wording shall be made. How should we actually update the section of the rulebook? So, for example, I'm just bringing up an idea. Okay, so let's say we have this rule in jumps that in the prelims, we have 12 attempts in total, and then I bring up the idea that I think it would be better to have 20 attempts in total and 4 attempts per height. Okay, and then people who are in the jumps committee, they can discuss it, and then at some point, if everyone, or at least most of the people, finds it right, then I can update the relevant wording, the wording of the relevant section of the rulebook. So I just rewrite it, I make a proposal from it, and then there is an anonymous voting on it within the voting members, and it either passes or not. So basically, this is how it goes, but please correct me if I forgot anything.
The biggest thing you forgot is limitations in each committee by country.
Which is?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But that was designed so a group of people from the U.S. cannot overwhelm
Right.
a committee with our collective opinions,
Right.
right or wrong.
Right.
Not that we'll ever agree. But
Right. Actually, one thing I don't know is how it is decided if someone is accepted as a voting member or not.
That would be the chair,
Mhm.
and by committee is part of their experience at Unicons, running Unicons.
Right.
There's a whole list of things that are considered.
Right. Right. All right. So, any questions regarding that, Zach?
Just to echo what David and I were saying, if you're looking for a name, in my workplace, which is in the sport, they call it that Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So that could be something to consider for the name.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's great.
And then just for clarification, a rider doesn't have to have participated in Unicon. If, say, we knew that there was a member of this community whose voice we wanted to hear in this discussion, we could just have them become an IUF member, and then they would also have the opportunity to become a member of the, or at least sign up for.
I believe so. Right? Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that could be everyone who's in this room's job. If we are looking to have the deepest, most in-depth discussion possible, make sure that you know that the writers can participate in this discussion. It doesn't have to be the people in this room
Right.
making the decision.
Right. That's quite important. And yeah, so what I wanted to say is that so we usually send an email about it, and then we usually try to spread the word through Facebook, Instagram, on the IUF website and everything. So please, if this is something that you would be interested in doing for our sport, that would be very cool if a lot of you would register and sign up for it. And if you do so, which is great, then please be prepared that it can take a long time, and some discussions will take hundreds of comments, maybe more. It's a lot of work to work something out, but this is the simple biggest way how we can better our rule book. And as with the diversity topic that we just discussed, I'm very happy that you guys are here, like you attended this meeting to show that this is important. But I would also like to address that, like, this is not a topic that we try to ignore. Like, literally, since I am part of the IUF, at every monthly meeting we did talk about this topic. You can check the IUF meeting minutes on the IUF website, and this has been brought up at every single meeting. This is a very active topic, and we know there's something to be done about this, but we also believe that it's not only the board who should decide what should be done about this. This should be discussed on a wider platform, such as the Rulebook Committee, which is probably the most efficient way to do that. So once again, I really appreciate you guys attending, and I would like to welcome you all to register when it's time.
Just last question. Do you know what the range of time it is that people are allowed to register for the rulebook?
That will be in the initial email.
All right. For example, if
It's weeks.
huh?
It's weeks.
Okay. There will be an open
Yeah.
several week opportunity to
Yes.
say inform
Yeah.
other riders who might
Yeah.
not be part of it.
It's not like opens at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and closes at 6. No.
It won't be so long because the rulebook we would ideally like to have finished before
Of course,
the start
of course.
of several months in advance of the next Unicon, so people know the updated.
Certainly.
A
You
year
know,
plus.
I think to get people into the conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to like have the door closed and now the other people are involved in the conversation and not you. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I've done in the past is that if you apply to be part of the committee after that cutoff, is that you can still be added as a non-voting member.
Excellent.
So that way I
That's good
can,
to know.
if people who
You can
are-
share your opinion. You can comment.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can definitely always comment, so. And
One other thing, even if you're not a member, you can see the members, they are public on the thing, you can email them. And it may be even more, depending on the topic, it may be more decidable, right? You may not have a strong opinion, you may say, oh, I see Mark is on the trials, and somebody I know had a complaint about trials, I will forward it to Mark.
Absolutely. That works. Any more questions on this or the diversity topic? All right, so it's time to move on.
Yeah, so that's me. I don't know if you can even see this, but we've come up with a system with levels of approved events from the IUF. Oh.
It's motion censored.
Oh, you can see. Oh, you can see it.
And we
Okay.
can't see you, Emma, it's fine.
Okay. So we've come up with 3 levels of events, and the first one is recognized, and then endorsed and sanctioned events. Right now, we are participating, everyone, in a sanctioned event. This will mostly be Unicon, and I believe is there any other sanctioned events? I don't think so.
Not right now.
Not right now. And so we have this to grow the sport, because that's what we're all about in the IUF. We're here to support the sport of unicycling worldwide, and we would like to recognize and endorse other events outside of Unicon as well. So the recognized events are non-competitive or competitive events, which can happen anywhere. And the endorsed events are national or international competitions or competitive events, where there's an awarding list to competitors. I think that's it for that. Yeah.
Sorry, just an addition. So up from endorsed events, if there are any competitions, we require the events to follow the IUF rulebook on the recognized level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So we from the endorsed events, you have to follow the IUF rulebook. For recognized events, that's not necessary, but the IUF rulebook also entails using proper safety gear or ensuring that the riders have proper safety gear at competitions and so on. And for sanctioned events, obviously, at the moment, there's just Unicon, where everything strictly follows the rulebook. I think that's it. If you know anyone, or if you have any questions about these, if you want to read more about the sanctions of events, you can go to the IUF website, and you can also always hit a message on social media or email if you want to get an approval from the IUF for your events. Any questions?
Yes, what would be the benefits for an event to be recognized or endorsed by the IUF?
So the benefits would be that we promote you on social media, and it depends which level you're at, how many times, and so on. But we'll promote the event on social media, and that'll also give more, what's the word for this, recognition to your event, as we are the access to UDA. Thank you.
At which level does the participant would need to be IUF members?
I actually don't know. I think just Unicon
Only sanctioned?
sanctioned events.
The only one currently is Unicon.
Yeah.
In theory, if someone wanted to take it on themselves and start trying to organize some other event, we have potential to add more. So right now, we're just using Unicon. Okay.
So
Yeah.
for example, we organize a Belgian Unicycling Championship. I don't think we so far do in relationship with the IUF, but if we would like to be a recognized event, our participants would not have to be IUF members.
No. Phil?
Is there a distinction in the levels and the possibility of getting access to software to be used for registration?
Yeah,
Is
so
that exclusively for Unicon?
no, so that is for the endorsed events, and I assume also the recognized and endorsed events, they can all get access to the registration.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just want to
Yeah,
add
please come
something
up.
to this. So, as Emma said, obviously one of the biggest perks of getting a IUF badge for your event is that you can access the UDA system and you can utilize it, which may have everything preset, etc. And obviously the other reason why we set this whole thing up, because we want to increase the representation of IUF even within unicyclists, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who are here at Unicon, they may don't even know what is IUF. They may not even know that IUF exists. I have been to a Unicon without knowing what IUF is, so that's not something pitiful. So we would like to increase the representation of IUF, and also we would like to have a system that if you see that an event has one of these badges, then you can expect that the event will follow the rules that you may see at Unicon or at other IUF events. So basically this is just trying to make a step towards having a better structure for events. And that's what you can expect from an event.
Okay. And then we move on to questions and discussion about anything.
I just wanted to highlight IUF and Unicon are run by volunteers. If you want to get involved, talk to us. But again, it only runs because people are volunteering to do this work. There's on IUF there are no paid staff. Unicon, sometimes there are paid people in positions, but again, for the most part, it's volunteer run. And obviously, hopefully all you all volunteer to help out during this Unicon for various things. If not, go talk to Connie.
Don't talk to Connie.
Talk to Elise.
Sure, talk to someone else. Sorry, right back, Connie.
Connie, you were promoted to volunteer director. Didn't you know that? Fabian?
Yeah, I do have a question. Do we have a database of all the historic Unicons in terms of like champions, podium, and all that kind of stuff that we can access? Because, for example, if we go to the IUF website, it's not there. And it would be nice to have something that any unicyclist could find. For example, if I go to Flatland on the website, and then I will see like the history of when the Flatland started the competition at Unicon, who were the first champion, who is the current champion, and all that kind of stuff. And also, for example, French writer Eddie Ducot did something on Wikipedia. It's only in French and it's only for the street. And I think that will help a lot to the recognition of the sport if the IUF promote that. And having that visibility, it will help also the rider in case they want to ask for a sponsorship. That is there, is recognized by the IUF in some database that we have.
I'm going to want you repeat what you said after this, so I can put the notes.
He's taking the minutes.
But my follow-up would be, I mean, it's a great idea. Obviously, I said volunteers. So in terms of developing software things, I think it's a good use of this.
Yeah, and I totally volunteer to help with that.
Benoit.
I would love to have a discussion with as many people as possible at some point during Unicon regarding how and if anyone thinks it would be possible to bring money from outside of the unicycling world to Unicon to try to make it a more professional and more appealing to the public event. I really have been juggling with the idea and the concept of how we can make our sport more mainstream, not really in terms of having more people into it, but more reaching out to outside sponsors. I think there are ways, and we have seen a lot of sports become more mainstream when they made their event more public and when they managed not how we can make each discipline more public friendly, but more about, do we think that we are able to get a Coca-Cola sponsor that is going to bring $100,000 to the event because we're making the final somewhere and we're gathering 15,000 people to see the event? Is that something that we're able to achieve as a community? Or is it this that we really like and that's very okay with this? But I think there's a lot of people that are tempted to see the sport probably more mainstream. So I'd like to talk about that.
Fabian.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I have that thought too, but and then the idea that I said before is in order to get there, I think we need to organize better ourselves, like the recognition of the competition, to make it more accessible for everyone, and then also and I'm not talking about like just to make it more big or that would be awesome, but it's just to for example, some riders are good, but there is a totally different reality between like the north of the globe and then the south of the globe in terms of like who can go to the Unicon. So, and that makes a huge difference if we have like a sponsorship, yes. If we have like the recognition for the podium, yes as well. And if there are prizes, that will change also. For the experts, at least, I think we should go in that direction, just because like it will make it better. I just feel more appealing for everyone, and I love how the Unicon it is right now in all the aspects except for that we don't have prizes for the riders that are like really putting a lot of effort in being the best of the world. That's what I want to say.
Sarah.
I just have one more thought to add to that with a little discussion I had with some folks at the last Unicon, which was, has the IUF ever considered having a tiered pricing system for their registration? Having like multiple tiers that you can sort of pay what you can, such that people who maybe can't afford it or are students and are having to pay for a plane ticket across the world could register with a lower price, and then those people who have the means to pay more would pay sort of an extra amount that would help cover those lower costs.
Connie.
That has been considered. The hardest part is proving your status. Here in the U.S., our welfare system is gained by many, needed by even more. So it's really hard. So I personally would like to have, and maybe we can do some sort of a scholarship, kind of like that.
Yep.
So options that can be considered.
I see Sophia and Dustin. I saw Dustin's arm first only because it's closer to me.
A variation on that I was just thinking about recently is, I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this, is maybe having an a la carte style registration. Have a base fee for everyone, and then if you sign up for 1 to 3 events, you pay $50. If you sign up for 1 to 6 events, you pay $100. If you sign up for 1 to 9 events, you pay more. That might make it easier for some people. The sport is becoming very specialized, and I've talked to quite a few people already who came up here, more locally, who maybe would have been involved in different events, but they said, "Oh, the registration is way too much. They're just coming for one event," and so that could be, something that might make it more feasible for some people to come if they know that they're only going to be involved in one event. They don't have to pay $100, but I'm sure somebody who loves spreadsheets can kind of figure out what a balance might be, so that the people who are the hardcore who want to register for everything, that's going to subsidize more of the people that aren't signing up for everything as well.
Sophia.
do a big auction as an event that's like really exciting and fun, that we're auctioning off cool things. And I think with the unicycling community, like that would be really easy to gather a bunch of things that people donated, and then all of those things get auctioned off in a fun, lively event, and then all of that money could go towards a scholarship for like first time. Well, what we do is there's a first time attendee scholarship that you can come for the first time, mostly paid, and it could be a fun event too.
I just want to say that I love that idea.
Well, I can probably just add as an ex-organizers in general, maybe share budget at Unicons are the lowest. We have no margins, absolutely none. Any discount you could offer to anyone would probably result in the hosts putting their own money into filling the missing. I think that you will probably never see a discounted system being input by any organizers because it is way too much risk. As sponsoring could probably be a grant. Sponsoring could probably be the only option, but it would require everyone to put up more money, which would probably result in about the same. So just keep in mind if we have option, it cannot probably come from offering discounts at registration.
I'll speak as an ex-Unicon organizer as well. So there are fixed costs, like an event centre, I don't know what this costs here, but our event centre, it's going to be 40,000 regardless of whether you've got 100 unicyclists or 1,000.
Sorry. I'm sorry. 40,000?
Yeah.
That's it?
That was, but it was. Different time, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, 15, 20 years ago. Anyway, those are other costs. So I think you get a lot of sponsorship from the city, and they give you a lot of things, but ultimately it's still needs to balance, and I echo the thoughts about margins. They could go either way. We have a bit of a contingency, but if you're 10% out, then you start making a loss, and then you go into your own pockets. And there's not many 2-week events or 12-day events that cost as little as Unicon to attend. I go to single-day mountain bike races that cost more than Unicon. Just something to keep in mind.
Scholarships.
All of these comments are really, really great to have. I appreciate hearing all of them. None of these are not going to be forgotten. Josh has written them all down. If you would like something else added, mentioned, written down, please just quick chat with Josh at the end. Phil, do you have one last comment?
I only want to ask, since this is the topic of the budget, is there simply a place that the community can see what budgets for Unicon look like? I think many of us who say might be interested in proposing a Unicon in the future simply do not fundamentally understand obviously the work we see, but the daunting monetary costs. That we might be taking upon ourselves if even the cons, someone might be like, oh, see that number and go, oh, I can totally do this in my city, or might see that number and be like, it can't happen here, or I can't do it. Is there a place where community members can see the budgets of Unicon after the fact or anything?
I think Unicon in France put out a document, a summary of the event that contains information about budget. I think it might only be in French, so.
Excellent.
We can work on making
to people at length when I'm not in Bemidji.
Tiger?
Just for those conversations that people want to continue while we're face to face, come and chat with me. I'm happy to try and find time in the schedule for a workshop kind of schedule. So work with me and I'll see if we can find some time to schedule conversations.
Good. So I have two things to kind of close us out here. One, I'm going to turn the table over to David here. He is one of the organizers interested in organizing the next Unicon, Unicon 22 in Steyr, Austria. He has a small presentation that he's put together. But if you feel that you do not want to stick around, you do not need to stick around. All right, this is going to be more interesting or maybe a little bit more lighthearted than things previously. So I appreciate everyone being here. This is your community, and your voice should be heard here, so thank you for making it heard. With that, David. If you don't know, David Weidenmiller.
The only man
Okay.
stupid enough to organize 2 Unicons.
Thank you. Okay.
Connie's first.
I'm sorry.
How could you?
Okay. So here's a nice picture of Steyr. It's a town in Austria where we were thinking about hosting the next Unicon. I think. How do I push next slide? Oh,
There we go.
Oh, look, it's one back. Right now it's unofficial. So this is not approved by IUF now, and we are still negotiating with the town and the region. So we try to figure out how it's going to work, because the budget of a Unicon is pretty tough, as we heard already. That's one of the things that we want to get clear before we put 2 years of our life in that project. Yeah, so can we move on with the slides? I want to talk about where we make it, who's going to make it, what we want to make, and ask you to spread the rumor about this Unicon going to happen in Steyr. Can we move on? So where is Steyr? It is in Austria, and there was a slide about where Austria is in Europe. Maybe not everybody knows that, but Steyr is in the middle of Austria somewhere, where the heart is, and it's a small town. It has about 38,000 people living there. It's a 2-hour drive from Vienna, and from Munich it's about a 3-hour drive. And Austria is not Australia. I just want to make that sure. So yeah, it's in Europe. There's a few pictures of Steyr, so you get a little impression. This is the main square of Steyr. Can we move on? There is some really old, nice buildings that we have there. We can move on. And the surrounding of Steyr, there's really nice mountains, mountain lakes, good muni, and some, really nice places. Move on. I think it's just some impressions for, okay, that's the region where we're going to go. Yeah, I want to move on. Who's going to do that? There is some people that are here. We have in Steyr, there's a unicycling community that is riding for more than 20 years. I learned some of my muni riding there, and it's an active community for more than 1 generation now. And we have an international team already. We are still small. We need still some more support. Move on. There is some of our team. So they're sitting over here. It's me, it's David, and then there's Evelyn. Maybe you saw her a lot on the podium in the last few days. then there's also Daniela, Pascal, and Dominic who are here, and Christian Eder is not here, and Benjamin is also not here. And we have some more people supporting that, that endeavor that we didn't put on that slide yet. Okay, the slide is updating. Yeah, we want, one of my ideas, or our ideas, is that we want to make the convention part of the Unicon really big, to make it at least time-wise as big as the competition part. To focus on connecting the people and really make some events to get to know each other, and to be very beginner-friendly and get lots of beginner unicyclists there. Not only the cracks, but also the beginners, because then we have more people and we can mix up more. Yes, next slide. One idea that we're thinking about is separating events a little more between fun events, where everybody can join and it's really fun and easy. And then we have some mass sport events where it's easy to ride. And then we have really exclusive expert events where only the really strongest riders can ride. So to really separate the experts from everybody else, and try to do that in different ways. Pascal wants to join and say something.
Can we back one? Yeah. The reason is there is a big community, and the niveau is very different. So we want to try the expert events a little bit split up than the mass sport events. So we can do the export events like in downhill and Muni a little bit more difficult, and the mass sport events a little bit more easy. And I think the protest started already here on the Unicon. There are only awards for the expert events and the pickup awards for the age groups. So, and we want to do this process a little bit more, or we try to do more split up between the mass sports and the experts. So we have a professional expert event and a mass sport event and fun events. So it's Unicon for everyone.
Okay. Then I wanted to ask you to bring your dreams together, what you want to see and have happen at Unicon in Steyr. And if you have some ideas, you can just bring up your phone and then send us an email at uniconsteyr@gmail.com and send us your ideas, what you can bring up for the event to happen. And yeah, that will help us a lot. Yeah, I think that's so far. Please share this rumor that we are trying to make a Unicon happen. Steyr is very happy to host us, and we are trying to get it going. And this is the email address you can contact us the easiest way, I think. Or you just talk to us, to me or some of those nice people over there who are happy to run this Unicon, this next Unicon with me. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, David. Okay, so last rumor I'm going to spread before this meeting will officially be over, and you can linger and chat. Unicon 2028, 2028, 2026, 2028, rumor of Australia. So, thank you, spread the rumors. Thank you so much. Linger, chat with us.